right, everybody, welcome. We are on podcast number 16, and we're so excited. I'm Jennifer. This is Robin with Hungry for More, and we have some things we wanted to share with you today that have been on our mind just from when we are coaching, daily conversations we have. I was just on a vacation with 25 people, and what we're talking about today came up a lot. So it's kind of on the forefront of our minds, and we wanted to share it. And we want to talk about how to stop beating yourself up, to stop that constant chatter that's in your mind when you're making choices around food. And, you know, a lot of times we hear people say, like, let's give some examples, Robin, like, oh my gosh, this is so bad, I can't believe I'm eating it. Or, why did I make that? I'm such an idiot. Why did I eat that? On the other side of it, that wasn't even enjoyable. Or here's one that may surprise you, because this is also chatter in your head. Oh, I made such a good decision today. I avoided that food and I didn't touch it. Or I ate something really healthy. Because the commentary goes both ways. Because if you're praising yourself all the time for stuff, then when you make a choice that doesn't coincide with your praising, you're putting yourself down on the flip other side. But what are some comments that you've heard, Robin?
Why did I do that? That wasn't the healthiest choice. There was a better choice and I didn't make it. I was naughty. I was bad.
Just or the punishments, right? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to fast for 3 days, or, you know, all the strategizing because I just ate something so bad and I've ruined everything.
Right. I was bad is the first thoughts and judgments. And then we want judgment, or we want punishment. We want retribution for it. And man, that is when you really stop and think about it, it can take up a lot of your mental space. It's something you can be thinking about for hours and hours and hours after it happened. And this is what we want to free all of us from. We freed ourselves from this. I can so relate to this. I was always on watch, always on guard. Was I good? Was I naughty? How am I going to motivate myself to be a good girl? And it just wears you out, you out.
And the flip side is we talk to so many people. And I remember a point in my life when it was like this, where you could be going on with regular life, but there was always a loop in the back of my mind playing.
Oh, yeah.
Always. And it was always a burden. And it's so interesting because if you were really to calculate how much time you think about the chatter and everything in regards to food, if not even for yourself, maybe towards somebody else. Mm-hmm. Because if you're judging somebody else on what they're doing, you're probably judging yourself.
100%.
And so it's, you know, regardless of what the food is, I don't care if it's celery or if it's a Dunkin' Donut.
Right.
It's still chatter.
Right. And we have found when we ask people the amount of space it takes up in a day, just like you said, even if I'm doing this or that, but this is going on, what I ate, how I'm going to make up for what I ate, what should I eat next to fix it? All that chatter that goes throughout the day, it's the equivalent to a part-time job, at least.
Oh, yeah. Probably more than a part-time job. Probably. I mean, it's just a constant.
And we think if I can just get my act together, if I just figure out how to eat right, if I could just stop loving treats so much, and if I could just give up this food, then it'll end. And my friends, how we've been talking, and what this is our passion here, is talking about the mindset. You can change everything about the food. If you don't address and see what's going on in your mind, the judgments it makes, the labels, the moral labels it gives to food, you will continue to have this loop in your brain, no matter what. So this is where it starts first. We want to address the mindset first, and then you will see you actually recover a lot better and a lot easier when you want to make a better choice next time. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make a better choice, but what we're doing by judging and cycling over and name calling and shaming ourselves for it, we're just asking for the same behavior to repeat itself.
Correct.
And it feels terrible.
And it's just shame, right? It's, you know, a great example of this is if I had a child who made a choice that they wish they hadn't made on the other side of it, or we wouldn't want them to sit there and dwell in that, right?
Right.
And continue to feel bad. It's
Beat
like,
themselves
hey,
up.
let's
Yeah.
move forward. It's
Yeah.
okay. Even if
Yeah.
it's you eating off how you want to eat a whole day or a whole vacation. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. Now what?
Now
How do you
what?
want to move on? Yeah.
There is no gel. There is no gel for eating poor. You can't punish yourself like that.
Yes, so true. So, why do we do this? Why do we do this? And the first thing I want to say to this, and then and I'd love to hear what you have to say, but I think it's important to acknowledge that it comes from a good place within us, that we want to be healthy. We want to get the results that we're looking for. We want to feel light in our lives and go be able to play with our kids and age well, right? And have the energy. It comes from a good desire, and let's keep that. We don't have to give that up in order to move on. But why else do we do this? What is the brain thinking is useful about beating ourselves up? What does it think it's going to do?
Well, I think it's always trying to protect you, right?
Right.
It is trying, just like you said, it's not a bad thing, but unfortunately, sometimes it takes us, to a different place. And this is the other thing, is taking the energy out of that, because even eating all those foods isn't a good or a bad thing, right? It
really isn't.
You got to take the energy out of it, because I love when you say a cookie is just a cookie. It has no power over you.
Right. Right.
So,
And exactly. And what gives it the power are the moral labels we've assigned to it. That's what gives us that energetic pull or resistance or rebellion to go eat it. That's what is driven, is by the moral labels that we give and that we've spoken to in a few episodes back. So that's very important. And so when go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
So one of the motivators is, when the brain says, okay, I like to categorize, if you've noticed, the brain wants to know if everything is good and bad, right? It's always looking. If I can categorize this as bad, then I will be motivated to do good. But how's that working for us? Do we bounce back and say, nah?
You're just kicking yourself when you're down most of the time. But this is the thing, because I know a lot of people that are watching this will be able to relate to this. And again, we're not talking about a specific way to eat or not to eat. We're talking about the chatter that goes in your head when you think you ate something that you shouldn't have eaten, or when you think you ate something great. It's the same chatter. So
or if you overate,
any of that. So my question is, let's kind of run them through the steps of how we can get to the other side. And this takes work, because this chatter has been going on our entire life.
Yeah.
And I mean,
it really has. We
have heard it from a young age. We've heard it from, I think of things I used to say to my children where I'm like, oh my gosh, I was the chatter in their head. You know what I mean? And so it's not something that's going to happen overnight, but as you become aware of it and you practice what we're going to teach you right now, it will become more natural. And one day you'll be like, holy cow, I didn't eat that specific food because it didn't even cross my mind. There was no battle. There was no nothing. I just didn't want it. And it was fine. It wasn't this, I had to take a different path so I didn't pass the store because I would smell the food baking, and then I have no control, and then I make bad decisions.
Yeah.
So
you might have some personal experience with that, right? And
I might.
Avoiding, the route home, how much power we've given to food. And again, it isn't the food that has the power, but it's what is generating all of those emotions and that energy that makes us feel like we're out of control, or that we have to go through great measures to control ourselves. So, you're asking, how do we move on from this? And there is a solution. And I like that you said it takes work, and it takes mental work. And this is what I love about what we do together, Jennifer, is, it's always going to take work to take care of a body. It can be mental work, or it can be the type of work where you're constantly fighting against yourself to be good, right?
Right.
Or you swing to the different extremes, and that creates a lot more work. So
It will be work no matter what.
yes. And I love that our solutions are always the easier work. It's a lot
It is very true.
to be mindful and manage your brain than it is to be trying to willpower yourself and force yourself to behave when you don't really understand what's going on in here and you're fighting against those forces. So here's the thing. We don't want to beat ourselves up. That's the truth. It doesn't serve us. It doesn't create the results we want, and it feels terrible. But people tend to think the solution comes by either just making sure they're perfectly good from here on out, which doesn't work, or by swinging to the other side and saying, well, then I don't care. And they turn off their brain. And they turn off their brain only because they don't want to hear the constant judgment. And they feel like the only way to get away from the constant judgment, if they know, well, I'm not going to be perfect at it, so then I'm just going to just shut it off so then I don't have to hear this. But that's not the solution either, because there is something deep inside all of us that you're good. There is something deep inside all of us that wants to take good care of us, that wants to love ourselves and have a basic self-care of love and trust, and being able to take care of this body that we're joined up with here on this earth, right? So you can hang on to that. You can still have that desire, and you don't have to now swing and say, well, I don't want to beat myself up, so, oh, well, I don't care. So here's the mental work, and we're going to go through these steps and I'll kick us off. So instead, okay, step one is you have to set aside any personal attack to you. What does this mean about me that I ate this? What, so the what's wrong with me questions. Why did I do that? You have to set all that aside and kind of put on your scientist hat, if you will, of like, I'm collecting data. I'm just going to collect some information and see what went on here. Because we do want to be introspective. We do want to see where we need to tweak some things, because we're going to be taking care of a body for the rest of our life. There's never a point you get to just because I landed at my, weight, that my target weight doesn't mean I never have to think again about this or manage my weight. Right. And so setting aside the personal attacks and saying, this tells us nothing about me, who I am deep inside. This is just telling me, I want to see the data here. So step one is set aside the personal attack. Step two is to gather the facts. And so maybe give us one scenario, Jennifer, maybe of like how somebody ate or something that we can actually walk this through that we were kind of talking about. Did any of them come to mind?
Well, I mean, we always get people that we're working with that are like, well, I wanted to make a good choice, but there was nothing else available. So I went ahead and I just ate this.
Right.
And
let's say it's pizza.
Pizza's a good one. Pizza, of course, my favorite food.
I love pizza. I do love pizza.
And so you're like, oh, I just had pizza. And now it's like, well, I'm already having the pizza, so I might as well just go for it. Mm-hmm. And, you can have pizza, listen to your body, stop when you're full, do the whole thing, but you just go crazy on it. So looking back in retrospect, like on this second step of just kind of recognizing and going, you get on this scale and you're heavier. Let's say you're heavier than you want to be, and you're like discouraged and you're frustrated. You can sit and think back and be like, okay, why? Why is that the issue? And I could go, oh, maybe because I ate a whole pizza last night,
Yeah. So
it's not about the pizza. It's about that, because maybe it's not something that I eat on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. When I did, I kind of shut that off and I just went for it.
Right. Yeah. So doing the assessment will help you not do that, but it'll also help you move from just the chatter, the narrating, play by play of what I ate and why, and the judgment, right? So if we set that aside and we just state the facts, like, okay, I got home from vacation, we had nothing in the house, and so we ordered pizza. That's the data. And my stomach hurts. Maybe. Yeah. Whatever data you gather there. And it's neutral, it's not judgmental. Again, we've set that aside and we're just like looking to see what's going on here. And then, then asking why. Again, why did you do that? Not like that. Just like, okay, well, why? Well, I came home from a trip and we were too tired to grocery shop. Okay. That makes sense,
So
right?
it's a convenient
So,
thing. It's what
we
makes
can
sense
start
at
to
the time.
Exactly. We see things for what they are rather than like, you're supposed to, why did you do that? That's unhealthy. That's a terrible choice. It's like, is it a terrible choice? What does that even mean? Right. So you can go to why and be like, that's the circumstance I was in. And that's what was available to us, given everything going
Right.
on.
And let me add to that. We are not villainizing pizza, because I was on a vacation last week where they had pizza 24-hour clock. You could walk up and grab a slice whenever you want. And I'm not kidding you, Robin, in past pre-conscious life, I would have avoided walking by the pizza parlor because I would have been like, I can't walk by, or I'm going to go in and I'm going to eat it all. But I didn't have that issue because I was like, if you really want pizza, go get a slice of pizza. Don't sit there and do it. And I didn't have it the whole week because I didn't want it. And then the last day I was like, you know what? I'm going to get pizza for lunch today. That sounds really good. I went there, I got lunch. I ate when I was hungry and I stopped when I was full, and there was absolutely no issue with it. It did not control me. When I am avoiding that pizza parlor, it's controlling me. That is not me in control. That is it controlling me.
Totally.
And I think that we often think it's the other way around. So pizza's not the villain. I just use it as an example because if I were to turn off my brain around pizza, I would feel miserable when I was done with it.
No, we've just chose a food that we know there tends to be a lot of judgment around, but I'm a pizza eater too. I eat pizza. So, okay. So we went on our bunny trails, which is great, but let's come back to set aside anything personal attacks. Number one. Number two, state the facts. It's either I ate this or this is the number, I went up a pound, like the actual data that you're reading right now. Okay. Right. Then we just ask why. Okay. I wonder why, or what was going on. Okay. Now it could be that you're like, we came home from this vacation and this is just the best with what we had. It could be that, or it could totally be like, because I wanted it really bad. And because I didn't pay attention, I didn't check in first. It could be that that's some of the feedback you're getting of like, I didn't even check in. I just ate it because it was there. Either way, you're going to get the feedback of what was going on in your brain so that you can understand what was going on. And then you can do something about it without it being judged as bad or wrong or terrible. It's just like, oh yeah.
My favorite comment is to be like, that's really interesting.
Yes.
Why did I do that? That is so interesting. What was driving that behavior? Because for me, if I can replay it in my mind, I'm a visual learner. So if I can like kind of go through that experience in my mind and be like, that's why I did that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'll be more aware next time.
Right. That curiosity is different than judgment. And again, this is important because we are managers of our way in our life, and we have to be real with our habits and see what's going on with our choices. And it can all be done in this spirit of neutrality and of curiosity, and to learn and move forward from it. So then the fourth step is the solution. I like to, when we're coaching people, I like to say, okay, let's go back to that scenario, and we kind of do the same assessment. And then it's like, was there anything you could have or wanted to do differently? Sometimes we didn't even want to do it differently. We'd be like, I'd choose this all over again. And it's like, great, own it. And then the constant cycle stops. I own it. I see it and I own it. And sometimes you're like, you know what? Let's stay with the pizza example. You know what? Now that I go back to that scenario, I did have some things in the fridge. I had some veggies or carrot sticks. I could have brought those out to balance it out a little bit and help with my insulin. I could have done that before I started eating the pizza, right? Yeah. Look at what resources you had. Look to see what choice you maybe would have made differently if you wanted to. Maybe everything about what you were eating was fine, but you overfilled yourself. That's when you can be like, okay, at what point did I get the cue and I kept eating? Oh yeah. It was like those last 3 bites that I felt like I should finish off. That took me over the edge. Okay, good to know. next time I'm going to pay attention because those last few bites just took me over the edge and I just feel really full and yucky now.
And as you tune and you're trying to be listening to this, your body will let you know.
Yes.
It's so interesting. It's like, okay, I'm there. When you're paying attention to that, and the more you do it, the more natural it will come. It won't be like this trying to figure it out. Like you'll just know.
Yeah, your body's your number one feedback device, right? We think the scale is, we don't even know what's going on really with the scale between the water and inflammation and all the things going on. Okay. So your body is your best feedback mechanism for sure in real time. And then the last step is just once you kind of look back and replay and you're like, oh, okay, gather the data. Why? Oh, okay, here's what I do differently. Or no, actually that went exactly like I wanted it to. And I, given the same situation, I do it again, truly. However we conclude there, then it's just a matter of recommitting ourselves.
Let me tell
again, this is a lifelong thing. And yes, I was going to say,
it's really hard. It's so hard. All you have to do to recommit is eat the next time you're hungry. You don't have to punish yourself. You don't have to strategize about some huge plan.
How are you going to make up for it next?
What you're going to do. All you have to do is let your body get back to where, it wants to be, and then wait till you feel hungry and then you eat again. That is it.
That is.
And you learn from if what you ate, or you overfilled, you take that knowledge just like Robin gave you and you use that moving forward. And it may not be the last time you do that, but it doesn't mean that all is lost. Messing up, I don't even want to call it messing up. Feeling like you made a choice that didn't coincide with what you wanted to do. Okay. Yeah. With what your body was telling you is not the end of the world. Not even if it's for a day, a meal, a month. If you're somebody out there who feels like I had somebody tell me yesterday they've been off the rails for a while and they want to get back on. It's as simple as eat the next time you're hungry and start re-engaging with your body. It doesn't have to be this long, thought out, miserable, restrictive thing.
Right. Yep. You're canceling meals the rest of the day. You're canceling sugar for 2 weeks, right? All these things. And it just builds up that resistance energy, that dam energy that we talk about. Yeah. And I love that. It's the perfect reset. Okay. After you go through these steps, you're like, yep. Gather the data. Why? Yep. Solution. Got it. I'll eat again when I'm hungry. I mean, just the energy around that is just calm. And you move on and your mind can stop replaying because you addressed it.
Right.
And tell me, what wisdom comes from when we're telling ourselves, you did this wrong, you did it again. What's wrong with you? Are you ever going to figure this out? You're an idiot. You're so stupid. What wisdom comes from that for our next decision?
Absolutely none. In fact, for me, it just would take me further down. Well, I'm already down. Let's just keep going.
Right. Then we want to kind of comfort ourselves from the emotional pain of the chatter, And so that's the thing. If we really want to improve, if we really want to make a better choice next time, there's nothing wrong with that. But just know that the judgment that your brain defaults to gives you no wisdom for it. It gives you ideas of how to punish yourself that we don't end up following through with because we don't like being punished. Right. Because the punishment sets a standard that's impossible. I remember just like overdoing it and being sick and being like, I'm never eating that food ever again.
Right. Yeah, no.
Okay. Right.
There's a reason you ate so much of it. You liked it.
Exactly. And then the next time I eat it, my brain's like, that's the bad, terrible food. Remember, we weren't going to have it ever again. You're like, I'm so terrible. I can't even control and there we go. No wisdom is gained. So, this is why we are different than, we call it conscious eating for a reason. I was just recently asked by somebody about intuitive eating. And there's a lot of crossover for sure. But we are different in that way where I do really respect and and I know we both are on the same page on this, that a body is here for our caretaking. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to be healthy. There's nothing wrong if you feel like you're carrying extra weight on your body and you want to lighten the load on her. There is nothing wrong or shameful about that. And that it does require us to pay attention. It does require us to correct course here and there. And that's it. But we've never really learned how to correct course because we're busy with the moral labels and then judging ourselves. So this assessment can work whether it's with food or whether you just had a situation with a child and you didn't really like how you reacted. Okay.
Yeah.
Set aside the personal attacks. It means nothing about who you are. Set it aside. Go with the facts. Okay. What's the facts? Gather the data and then move on to the rest of those steps, to the point that you see it for what it is, you understand what you want to do next time, and you recommit. And then we move on. Is that
Simple
not like
as
the
that.
cycle of life? I mean, that is the best we can get.
It's as simple as that. You would want it for your girlfriend. You would want it
Yes.
for everybody else. So you need to want it for yourself, because it's a lot easier looking at that from the outside, looking at somebody else, but we're asking you to go inside and
Mhm.
to do that yourself and to stop the out of control chatter.
Beautifully said. Love it. Okay, guys,
Okay.
free yourselves of it. It's possible. Persist with it. It takes mental effort. It's
Yeah.
mental effort is so much easier than fighting the things when you don't really understand what's going on in your mind.
And we're strategizing right now to help you. We have a 60-day challenge that will be starting soon, and it's going to be all mindset. We're not going to tell you what to eat, how to eat. You can eat. If you like to eat a particular way, eat it.
Right.
That's fine. If you like to do this, that's fine. But we're going to help you with the mindset so we can stop this chatter and stop the going back and forth and stop the yo-yoing and help you just literally live free and free up your brain space so you have it to do other stuff.
Yeah. Make lasting changes. That's
Yeah.
the beauty
It's
of
going to
it.
be awesome.
Yes,
All
it is.
right. Thank you,
Thanks for being with us
everybody.
today.